Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be showing off the new YuGiOhs in action facing off against the new Chronomallys. So the Chronomallys are all about usually boosting up the stats of their monsters. On top of that, they have a new card called Vimana, which is able to go ahead and negate something via a quick effect. They also have actually two different quick effects, but pretty much in the TCG, we never really got Never Disc fast enough, and that was the main problem that Chronomallys really had in TCG. But with the newer stuff, let's see if it's going to be any good. I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think is better, YuGiOhs or Chronomallys? Because you guys actually might be surprised to what actually is going to be a little bit more stronger and opens up the doors to kind of a win condition almost on its own. So anyways, we have the Samorg that will be able to special summon another card, which is really good for the YuGiOh archetype because sometimes they need a very specific monster, and with the new consistency that Tailwind adds, the deck is actually looking much better than it used to be. It still kind of has the same playstyle. If you guys remember, it's basically freeze and crashing all of their monsters, so you have to be very careful up against that deck. As the YuGiOhs, if you have a monster with large attack, you can lose to basically reverse battle damage is the way you kind of win with it. But Vimana over here does have the ability as a quick effect to negate via detaching two materials, which is very powerful. Well, I mean, like anything in Yu-Gi-Oh that has the ability to negate is usually what people want to go ahead and make. So the key combo right here in YuGiOhs is really utilizing Freeze as well as the new Tailwind card to basically protect Freeze from being able to be destroyed by battle and by card effects, and it basically puts a reverse battle damage on your opponent, meaning your opponent will actually take all of the damage. You're going to see a really cool combo here in just a second. So he's got multiple copies of Vimana over here, which again is like one of their better cards that has recently came out, one of the newer cards. So we're just going to crash the Eagle. Eagle's going to go ahead and activate that effect, but Vimana's going to go ahead and say no to that. But Freeze is going to go ahead and attack. Now he's going to activate the effect over here to try to change his attack to 0. But remember, regardless of the attack, that still is reversed. So he actually done goofed over here, but no worries. We'll give the guy another shot for a rematch. The thing with YuGiOhs, guys, is a lot of people don't know how to play against them. They don't read effects. I mean, it's just Yu-Gi-Oh in 2021. It's still the same as it's always been. No one reads cards. But also having access to Featherstorm is still a fantastic card. Just a wing beast, which is not too difficult in YuGiOhs, even though the cards you want to make, technically Freeze is not exactly a wing beast, but you can get it out pretty easy. I mean, like I said, every single card in the archetype is floaters. But I'm going to show you guys some more Chronomally versus YuGiOh over here, and showing you when the other player gets to actually kind of go with a Never Disc play, which is pretty much still one of the most powerful cards in the Chronomally archetype, which just lets you add any Chronomally card from your deck to your hand except for itself. But you're going to see once again Vimana is here, and Vimana can indeed stop the effect of Mr. Giant Rock Boy, but it doesn't really matter at this point because he's already out, and he's already lost the material, because remember, you have to detach double for the effect. If you detach just one, it would be pretty dang good, but he's able to reattach the card, so it's not that big of a deal. He's going to go ahead and stop Freeze, because that's basically what happens when you have Freeze re-add back the Tailwind card. So what Tailwind does, guys, is you equip to a YuGiOh. If it's a 4 lower, you get a special summon a YuGiOh from your deck. If it's fire higher, you get a special summon a level 1 tuner from your deck. And then pretty much what that does is allows you to go ahead and add YuGiOh Tailwind back when you go ahead and make Freeze, because Freeze lets you add a YuGiOh card in your graveyard. So you summon a card, you activate it, you get whatever monster you make Freeze re-adds back the card, and then you have cannot be destroyed by battle, cannot be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent takes all of the battle damage. That's like the main goal of this deck. But they also have a newer card that we'll get into in a second, but I want to show you guys matchup versus Ancient Warriors, because this is a deck where you can throw out monsters relatively fast as well. Now, do I consider YuGiOhs to be like number one of the best top tier meta decks? I don't think so. I still think that it is technically a little bit too slow, because again, you rely on floaters. Yes, Tailwind definitely makes the deck faster. You summon it, immediately throw it down. But if your opponent stops the effects in the battle phase, or let's say somehow they didn't negate the effect of when it's destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, as in like you have no graveyard potentially, right? Then you could really lose out. But sometimes certain archetypes, they can only activate their effects in like the main phase, or they can't activate it during damage calc, or whatever the case may be. So you're able to keep on bringing back these monsters, and you just crash. So that's the main goal with this, and even the gods, which we'll show off in a moment here, will be no match for it. But this is basically the bread and butter combo. It is just crashing your monsters into your opponent's stuff, the freeze having that effect where your opponent takes all of the battle damage. So you can see basically all you need is one Gusto monster, and because once you make freeze, you get to re-add back Tailwind. Tailwind again has that effect, just bring back whatever you want. It's basically just bring out just another low monster and start crashing, and your opponent loses. It's a reverse battle is kind of like the main idea and concept of it, but there is another new card that I did want to go ahead and go over. Do they actually need it? Well, it's kind of debatable over here. Hold on, where is it? Oh, freaking mouse over. There we go. So, if I could keep it over here. Okay, so this is another newer card. This is the Daigusto Ramp Pelica. Anyways, so it's pretty easy to make in Gustos. It does require you to have the Gustos, but you can only special summon this card once per turn. And then if this card is Synchro Summon, you can activate this effect. You can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except for wind monsters. You get to special summon double Gusto monsters, one from your hand and one from your deck, but you negate their effects, not that it matters, because you just go into another card. And then immediately after this effect resolves, you get to Synchro Summon a Gusto Synchro monster using those two monsters only, and then your opponent can't target other Gusto Synchro monsters you control with card effects. So this is the ultimate lockdown here, guys. So we got Freeze, we got the Tailwind, so it can't be destroyed by battle, cannot be destroyed by card effects because of Tailwind's effect, where it cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects on the equip, and then they cannot target your opponent cannot target other Gusto Synchro monsters you control with card effects. So can't target, can't destroy battle, can't be destroyed by card effects. That's the main goal with this little setup, and then your opponent takes all the battle damage. And it doesn't matter if they're defense mode. The funny thing is, this guy actually ends up going for a play that's so weird, but like he needed to go for it because remember, he's gonna be taking all the battle damage. So like he can't be leaving these things over here. Now this card does get around that mechanic over there because he's sending one over there. So he's able to rip that card. Now he's maybe going to be able to get something in. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Wing Dragon Raw Sphere mode, putting the Wing Dragon Raw in defense, but it doesn't matter. You're still taking all the battle damage. He's going to go ahead and bring out another Wing Dragon Raw, but doesn't matter. No, because remember, you still take all the battle damage. It's hard. I mean, I feel so bad. He got like triple. Look at this. He can't do it. He's just like, okay. I don't know if he was reading cards as well. Like, this effect is infinite times. I think maybe he thought it was like once per like turn that he would take the battle damage. I think, again, people don't know how to play against Gustos. People don't know how to read. But I think against like lower tier decks, it's okay. It's still like viable to play. But anyways, now you guys have seen it in action. Let me go and give you guys the deck profiles for the new Gusto. A big shout out to Tsubasa for hooking me up with the deck profile for this build. But I think that you can definitely make it a little bit more competitive if you wanted to throwing in cards like Imperm, Ash Blossom. Those are always fantastic cards. And even cards like Dark Ruler No More could be great, although you don't really get over your opponent's things, so keep that in mind as well. It's not the easiest to like run over your opponent's monsters if you were to say like Dark Ruler No More, because remember, where is it? Your opponent takes no damage, so unfortunately you can't just negate all the effects and then make them take the battle damage, if that makes sense. Even though it's like reverse, it's just no damage, period. So unfortunately, yeah, it doesn't work like that. But nonetheless, Armory Call is a fantastic card in here as well. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop into the deck profile real quick. So we got double Nibiru, double copy of Gale Dagra. It's the kaiju, but this one just happens to be a wind, so it works. Then we have Whirlwind the Gusto, we have the Wind Medium. A lot of these are basically just floaters, but this is like a mini Pot of Avarice. Cam is a little Pot of Avarice for them. Just put back 2, draw 1, so you never really deck out. Then you have the Descendant. You can target one other Wind Tuner monster graveyard, special summon it. And then you have Gusto Feather. This one makes the deck a little bit better, so if you're pretty much their floater dies, negates the effects, whatever, you just summon it, and it still has the ability to, if it's normal or special, you can send a Gusto from your deck to the graveyard, then special one from your hand. So it really lets you go off for those bigger plays to OTK your opponent on the next following turn, even though it starts out on their turn, if that makes any sense. But then it's just a bunch of Gustos that pretty much have a bunch of floater effects. Just bring down another Gusto Tuner. Again, most of these are just going to be floaters. And then, so we got 3 copies of the Gusto Goldo, 2 copies of Winda, and then 2 copies of Gusto Griffin. Then we have Kamui, 1 copy of that, 1 copy of Violent Sphere. This lets you target equip spell in your graveyard, and then you get to equip it to it because you send it. So it's basically more copies of this if it gets recycled. You can go ahead and utilize that. And then we have Eagle, triple copies of Eagle. Then we got 1-for-1, Reborn, Teleconnect, Power Well lets you summon an level 2 or lower psychic monster from your graveyard. Then you take damage, but it's just like another possible card if you happen to get your stuff disrupted. E-Tally, obviously, again, because they have to be psychic. Then we have 2 copies of Double-Edged Sword. This makes it so you can only control 1. The equipped monster gains 2,000, so it basically is just another 2,000 burn damage. Then also, both players take any battle damage from attacks involving it. So again, it's just another 2,000 damage to help out. And then we have 3 copies of the Gusto Tailwind. I was even thinking you could maybe even try to pull off some cheeky stuff with Megamorph in the deck, because like regardless, it's still just going to be more damage. Regardless if your stuff gets reduced or increased, your opponent's still taking more damage, so that could be another cheeky equip card. Then you have Rocket Hand over here, lets you target attack position with 800 or more, you can equip it, and it gains another 800, and then you can send it and the target face up card on the field and destroy it. Just again, getting rid of other cards can be okay. Armory Call, I would play triple of these. The whole deck needs Gusto Tailwind to pop off, and then Harpy's Featherstorm because it's a fantastic card, and you can easily make a Wind Wing Beast monster. Then for the extra deck, we have a bunch of stuff that we never even brought out. I mean, most of the stuff's kind of outdated. To be honest, the only really important card is going to be Freeze, and then we have the newer card. Where would it go? You know, it might have not gotten saved or it got updated, but nonetheless, that card's okay. It still brings out basically the same thing. I'm gonna go with Gusto because I don't even remember the name off the top of my head, but it's this one. I guess that again, sometimes when you save before the update goes through, it gets moved. But yeah, these are like the 2 only important cards. I'd still play this card, but the rest of the cards, like this card, I would say is definitely viable. This card's viable as well. This card can be good, but like these are the core cards that I would incorporate if I was like, you know, trying to fit in other things. Yeah, you could definitely play these, but the most important core parts are going to be like Freeze, that, and you know, that stuff. But anyways, big shout out to Tsubasa once again for hooking me up with the deck profile. Leave him down below if you guys want to check him out as well. But if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here and want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, hit subscribe, turn that bell, and to see more very soon. But take care. I'll catch you in the next vid. I'm out. Peace.